Hi there, this is David, and welcome to our review of Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition. While Chrono Trigger for the SNES has been one of my favorite games of all time ever since I played it back when I was in middle school, Chrono Cross, we never really got along. In fact, over the years I've said many things about the original game, and let's take a look back at what I've said. It literally had nothing at all to do with the original game. And don't talk to me about that teeny tiny 2-minute scene tucked away at the end of a 40-hour game. It's just a slap in the face. The battle system is slow, the amount of characters that you can get are ridiculous, and the magic or element system is just stupid everybody can do everything busy work. It should come as no surprise to anybody watching that I'm really not a fan of this game. The only good thing that it has going for it is the music, but that's a double-edged sword. The percussive tropical theme songs are so well done and so relaxing that I've actually fallen asleep to them. However, the final nail in the coffin is that everything looks the same. The difference between the home world and another world is minuscule. Nothing really changes at all. The town, the character placement, and even the overworld is just all the same. And how can anything be more boring than doing the same thing over and over and over again? But at least the developers realized how slow and boring their game is, so they granted you a fast-forward mode to use while you're wasting your life away to those morons. But that was on the PlayStation, on a game released in 1999, and it's 2022 now, and it's been remastered, with tons of quality of life improvements. So while I do still stand by everything that I've said about the game in the past, I'm here to see if the changes make this something special, or if it's still the same old mess that it always was. One of my main grievances with it was that the game wasn't even a sequel to Chrono Trigger. It was just some lame tie-in, and it was actually a sequel to this super obscure, even for Japan, visual novel that was only released for the Satellaview add-on for the Super Famicom. But now this edition rectifies that by packaging in the game Radical Dreamers along with Chrono Cross. Granted, most people probably still won't play Radical Dreamers, but it's nice to have it there for the super fans. And it is an interesting story in its own right, though I will say that I don't like visual novels at all, so it's just not for me. I dare say that the vast majority of you watching already know what Chrono Cross is about. You already know about the bloated character roster, the element system, the build-up during combat, and the ridiculous accents. So I'm not going to focus on that here. I'm going to put my focus on how the new additions enhance the game rather than just explain the game. But for those of you who have never played it before and you would like to know an overview of its systems, I would implore you to watch my previous review of the original game located in the video description. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about what's changed and what's remained the same. In the original version of the game, you were given a fast-forward option during the New Game Plus, but here, you're given it right from the get-go. And let me tell you, this is a game changer. No longer was I just slogging around, dragging ass just to get anywhere. I was able to accomplish in 1 hour what it would have normally taken me like 3 to 5 hours to complete in the original version. In only 1 hour, I got all the way up to the infiltration of Viper Manor. That's 5 star levels and 89 pages in the strategy guide, done in just 1 hour. Couple that with being able to avoid all the encounters, and it has made such a difference in the world to the gameplay. Another one of my main gripes of the original was that combat is pointless, because other than the bosses, the randoms might give you like 1 HP or something dumb like that for maybe like 3 or 4 battles, and then they don't give you anything. So here, you can just skip them in their entirety. However, I didn't realize just how many forced encounters there are too. So while I was skipping a lot of them and just zipping around the map at light speed, I still got the incidental power-ups from all the mandatory encounters that the game does throw at you. But let's say that you're playing the game without a guide, and you don't have the benefit of playing it like a million times already 20 years ago, so you end up skipping some of the optional bosses during the mid-game, and you therefore become perpetually underpowered. Well, there's a fix for that too. A power-up mode, which will adjust your character's strength to the levels that they should be at if you had fought all the bosses up to that point, as well as the incidental encounters. Take note though, this is not invincibility mode or win the game mode. It's just a nice slight boost to give you an edge in battle. If you don't want to skip the battles or you need to grind up materials or elements, there's also an auto battle feature added as well. It's almost as if the developers listened to everything that I said about the game and they took it to heart. It's so nice when people listen to you. I said that the battling was useless, so they let you skip it. I said that the game was slower than molasses in January, so they sped it up. I said that the game's progression was obtuse, so they added a power-up feature. It's good to be the king. That said though, they still really didn't fix that star level system. In one boss battle, Lena died, and I was shocked to notice that she didn't receive any sort of stat bonuses after the battle, which as we all know is when your characters gain most of their increases. So I thought that I'd do a little experiment, and I got into a battle immediately afterwards to see if maybe Lena would then gain her star level stats afterwards. But not only did she not gain her star level stats, but she was the one party member who didn't gain any stats whatsoever. I couldn't believe it. To say that I was pissed was an understatement. I mean, if it was like Korcha or Skelly, who cares? But this is Lena, and she's like the best caster in the game. So I guess if somebody dies during a boss battle, you're just kind of shit out of luck, and they'll be underleveled the entire game. Another thing, and maybe this is me just being old and impatient, but I do wish that there were like sparkles on the ground, showing where hidden items are, or indicating places where you can interact with the background objects. It just shows its age when you just stumble across a Hecarim bone, or look for the button at the back of the second to last left-hand pillar. It's a small gripe, but a gripe nonetheless. All told though, I cannot tell you how much all these quality of life features helped alleviate all the backtracking problems. I used to hate fighting because I was just like, why bother? And now I don't have to. My prayers have been answered. Another nice thing is whenever you enter an area, the game's going to autosave. However, you still can't save anywhere, and save points are very few and far between. I do wish that they allowed you to not only save anywhere, but also switch your party around anywhere. In a game with a metric ton of characters, it would be so nice to be able to switch them around on the fly. Speaking of the characters, there's no additional storyline added for any of them. This is a straight remaster, not a rebuilt from the ground up remake. But it would have been nice to maybe add some information about them in the menu. Maybe with like a character roster with 45 blank slots that you could fill over the course of the game. And it might be nice to give you some clues on how to recruit each character, and then maybe give you some background information and lore about each of them once you do. I also think that it would have been nice if there was a journal recounting your adventures, similar to the synopsis of the Tales series, but nothing like that. The graphics and character portraits are absolutely beautiful, and you can switch between the classic or new style as you wish, though I much prefer the new style. The music was always a high point, and well yeah, it did put me to sleep, it was still beautiful in its own right. But for those of you who do wax nostalgic, I didn't see an option to change the music back to the original soundtrack, unfortunately. All in all, I'm still not going to say that this game is a masterpiece or that it was the best PlayStation game ever, because it's not. It isn't, and it never was, and I still believe that it would have been forgotten to time if it wasn't for its name. The only reason why people still go on about it is because of its relation to Chrono Trigger. However, the game is named what it is, and you can't do anything about that, and there is a pedigree behind it. So now, 20 years after it was first released, I can finally say that I actually enjoyed a playthrough of Chrono Cross. It only took a ton of quality of life improvements for that to happen. In my very first review of Chrono Cross, I did say that it was a very divisive game, but I also said that it was worth a playthrough just to see what all the fuss is about. However, now you can do that playthrough in a fraction of the time and focus on the enjoyable things that it has to offer. The whimsical music, the tropical backdrop, and the interesting story, and not the insane loading times, the wonky battle system, and the ridiculous backtracking. I mean really, for $20, you can't go wrong. Well, that's it for my review of Chrono Cross The Radical Dreamers Edition. If you like this video and wanted to hear on the channel, please consider supporting me over on Patreon, heading on over to Twitch for some streaming fun, or joining the Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them all can be found in the video description. This has been David, and if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.